I'm going to break down how I cold approached this 24-year-old girl in London, ended up getting her phone number, texting her and seeing her a few days later on a date and going back to my place. Let's dive into this. Welcome guys, welcome to the hot seat where I break down interactions and dates in much more detail. And today we've got a 24-year-old cold approach that ends up in a date, which obviously, as you can see here per the screen, ends up in a positive outcome. We both go back to my place and have a good time. So I'm going to break down exactly how I approached this girl during the day in London and how I got the number. Most importantly, the text breakdown in detail. I'm going to show you the full conversation, how I ran the game, how I ran the text game, and how the date basically unfolded. I'm going to share with you my structure for the date and how I can guarantee to get my date back to my place for a good night. So let's dive into this, guys, and the first thing that I'm going to cover is the cold approach. So let me briefly talk about the situation. So I actually didn't have my team with me. I didn't have camera guys. I didn't have microphones on me that day. It was just basically a day for myself. I was running around in the city, but I ended up walking by this cute girl reading a book by herself outside a cafe in the street in central London. And I walked past her and I noticed her. By the time that I walked past, I had to go back because you start to develop some sort of like excitement when you do cold approach after a few years. You develop the skill to talk to women. It becomes a fun thing to do. So I had to go back to her, and she was literally sitting like in the woman here in the picture with a book in her hands, a table in front of her, and another chair in front of the opposite side of the table. Literally, my opener was walking up to her, pretending to be late with a cheeky smile on my face and grabbing a seat in the free seat. So basically, I walk up to her and I say, "Hey, I'm really sorry I'm late. It's just the tubes were a bit too busy. It's rush hour. It's crazy busy, but you know, look, I'll make it up to you." And I sit down, right? I've got a smirk on my face. I sit down. Again, I didn't really record the interaction. I'm sure I'll do some more interactions like this, some more opens like this. But the text game is really where the nuggets are for you guys. So make sure you stick around. Now, so what I do, because she's reading the book, I guess the plot of the book. And I'm saying, I bet this book is about X, Y, and Z, or I bet this book is about how this, cool, attractive French guy walks up to this girl sitting by herself reading a book outside in sunny London, and they end up living this crazy, amazing, beautiful, exciting life. And now you're reading this book. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm basically talking about her and me doing the approach and walking up to her and her being the girl reading the book. It's light assumption, it's not serious, it's fun, it's playful, but it's relatable to the present. And obviously she's into books, obviously reading a book, so she must be into reading. This is where I start to kind of like ask a little bit more questions. I'm like, well, what is this book about? Is this like, about X, Y, and Z? And she obviously starts to contribute because it's a topic that is within her blueprint. It's something that she enjoys talking about, something that she is into. And then you started to find out things about her, which allowed me to grab onto these different topics to then vibe, do some get to know you conversation, but then also put some teasers to put some life and interest and tension into this conversation, as opposed for it to just die down by keeping it logical. So we vibed for a little while. We did a little bit of role play. Now, the close was actually quite interesting because we were talking so much. I think the conversation was about 5 to 6 minutes, but her friends actually ended up coming to the table where we were sitting. I was sitting in front of her, and then I saw the friends. I get up and I greet the friends, right? And smile, fun, positive, good body language. I say hi to the friends. I compliment their style so that, there is some likability. You're developing some likability, because if you have a good impression on the friends, that's going to be positive points for you with the girl. As I say hi to the friends, I literally just take my phone and hand it to her with the keypad on the screen. So she obviously knows what to do. And she puts her number and then she gives me the phone back. And I literally go by her ear. When I say bye to her, I go by her ear and I said, "I'll text you." That was the interaction. So let's look at the text game now. I think this is going to be the most valuable part of this breakdown because, like I said, I didn't have the team with me, but I do have the screenshots of the texting. So my first text, right? This is basically the kind of the feeler text that I like to call. And it's just a text designed to a bit of callback humor to kind of bring her back into that state of mind of her speaking to you, but also kind of gauge of, get a kind of temperature test of where she's at. Whether is she receptive, is she still a little bit cold, or has she gone, has something gone bad that day, or do you have to build the vibe back up? It's just kind of understanding where you are in the social capital bank account. That's another concept I talk about, but it's basically just how is the girl receptive to you? And my first text is say basically bumping into each other 2 days in a row in London is pretty hilarious. Told you it'll be worth writing a book about us. The reason I say this, basically, I actually saw her a few days after. Funny enough, London being a huge city, I ended up bumping into her a few days after the approach. But it was very positive because she actually came back to say hello to me. She was the one walking by, seeing me and coming back to say hello to me. But nonetheless, that is still a text I would send. And that essentially, she replies and she says, it was technically a Friday and a Sunday, but whatever you need to make the story, sell, I won't stop you. And then I reply, I'm confident the book will sell itself. I almost didn't recognize you without your book. What happened? I'm not like asking very logical questions. I'm just still very keeping it light, keeping it a little bit flirty and things like this. And she replies, don't worry, my Kindle was in my bag in case of literary related emergency. So that was it. I just reacted to that text, and then I think it was a day after I sent her a value ping. This is a lot of guys struggle with reviving a text sequence, right? A text thread. And sometimes you just need to send a text that doesn't basically ask a question, or ask a question in an exciting way, or you share something interesting and valuable that will add to their day, and then you position yourself in a way where you can ask an interesting question, which is what I do here. I say, just seen a dog on a skateboard. Are you working hard or swiping on Hinge? So I'm sharing the fact that I saw a cute, something funny, and then I'm kind of asking a question that is teasing, but I'm also re-engaging the conversation, right? Are you working hard or swiping on Hinge, right? Now, girls don't like to be associated with dating apps because dating apps is seen as, if a girl ends up on a dating app, it's usually seen as she doesn't have options. She doesn't have guys approaching her, showing her interest in her social circle. It's kind of seen as a bad thing. So it's kind of a little bit of a disqualification that I'm doing here. And obviously she does react. It seems to have confused her a little bit. So she says, I've read this so many times and I'm still so confused. Please explain. So here, this is a big thing here, because a lot of guys could have gone super logical here. A lot of guys would have gone, oh, I was just seeing a dog and I was asking you if you were working hard or if you were swiping on Hinge. You're basically reiterating the same thing. But what I say is, morning, sweetie. Yesterday's heat must have gotten to me. So I'm making kind of fun of it, okay? I'm making fun of it, and I said, had to mention the cool skater dog I saw and check what trouble you were up to. The wording is very important. I could have said the same thing again. I could have said, I was just checking if you were working hard or swiping on a dating app. But instead, I rephrase it in a different way, which has a different impact. I had to mention the cool skater dog I saw and check what trouble you were up to. What trouble you were up to, okay? It just kind of clarifies what I was doing, because this girl might have been confused by the text. And that's fine, but it's just understanding how to communicate with women in a way that is non-boring, but still not fucking confusing, is so important. And then she replies, heat or alcohol? Because it was very hot in London that time. And then she says, do you really think it's how women spend their evenings? That is a shit test, and you'll see how I react. And then she says, literally haven't had Hinge in years and don't intend on changing that anytime soon. She says, I spent my evening cooking and reading, I'll have you know, with exclamation mark. This is good, this is a qualification. She's showing me that, look, I'm such a cool girl, I do all these things. And then she says, but did you get a picture of said puppy? So this is good because she wants me to respond, she wants this to go on, so she asks a question. So what I say, honestly, rarely drink now, such a lightweight. This is just me kind of giving her some get to know you, building a little bit of comfort, letting her into my life. And then I respond to the shit test, which she basically says, do you really think this is how women spend their evenings? And I reply, obviously not, comma, though I do like to probe sometimes, with a winky face. Basically, this just lets her know that I know enough. I've been around the block, but I just like to check if you're that kind of girl or not. Because like I said, dating apps for women is like the last resort. It's like if girls are really, really not getting any action, they go to dating apps or they go there for attention, okay? And this is how you pass the shit test. Don't react, don't overreact, don't over explain yourself. Ideally, position yourself as the guy testing her. And I say here, no, though I do like to check sometimes to see if you're on dating apps or not, right? And then my other text was, damn, she reads, cooks, and likes the slow life. What a keeper. I'm qualifying her. She qualified herself to me saying she can cook, she can read, and I'm basically just telling her, good job. I'm rewarding her. Did I take a picture of the puppy? I said I was too busy. And then this is where I go for the date. So you can see here on the third screenshot, I say, we might have to get a drink in the sun soon and go puppy hunting. You see how I have wrapped up this date suggestion into fun, playful puppy stuff, because it's relatable to the puppy that I was talking about that apparently was on the skateboard. It wasn't, right? I was just made it up, right? It doesn't have to be real. And you will see that it doesn't fucking matter later on, right? We don't even go look for puppies. We just go for drinks and go back to my place and have fun. But this is a way of playfully suggesting things, playfully putting things in her mind, making things sound fun. You don't have to literally follow up on the date suggestion that you've made. You just need to meet up. Even the girls are actually not stupid. They understand. They know it's the game. It's the playful way of just dancing the dance. And then she says, there's honestly nothing I can't do. Again, she's qualifying herself even more here. And then she responds to my date suggestion saying, we might have to hurry as there is no going to be sun much longer. So that's a very clearly positive sign that she's on board with my date suggestion and she wants to see me as well. Now, I respond and I say, someone's been a naughty girl. And that's just me sexualizing it a little bit, giving her a bit of a taste of my personality, who I am, and the fact that I'm going to be a man that is dominant. And then there is honestly nothing I can do. I reply to this saying, you're starting to score some serious brownie points, Missy. Again, adding a little bit of that man to woman energy, the fact that she's winning me over, she's getting some brownie points. It's fun, it's lighthearted, it's not serious. That's, you can see here, the vibe. It's very light, it's non-serious. I don't take myself seriously, I don't take her seriously, but I'm still adjusting the dynamic to the energy that I want to have with her. And then lastly, I say, we shall. What's your schedule like these coming days? This is so fucking important, right? I'm not scheduling a date at a time, picking a random time, whatever it is, when I don't know if she's going to be free, if she's going to be here, if she's available. I have no fucking clue. So I have to get that information. This is called the soft close, right? What is your schedule like these next coming days? I want to know what she's up to. What am I working with? Okay? This is so fucking important because that's going to allow you to set up the date in a way that you can win. And then she says, I've been putting myself in social timeout because I needed to eat healthily and do exercise after the past few weeks, but maybe Saturday. So she's basically letting me know that she's free Saturday, okay? So Saturday, perfect. And then I reply to that saying, Saturday works for me. How does 6:30 p.m. sound? Again, I'm suggesting, I'm finding out information and then I'm suggesting and I'm saying, how does that sound? A lot of guys are like, oh, just pick a date, pick a time, tell me. It's like, bro, if she's not available, if she works, if she has something, like, the last thing you want is a woman saying no to you, right? I don't want to train a girl to say no to me. I want to train her to say yes, get her in the habit of saying yes. It's like sales. It's called a yes ladder. The more times you say yes, she's more likely to say yes to the other things, okay? So I say Saturday works for me. How does 6 p.m. sound? And then she says that works great for me. You got anywhere in mind? You can see here, like it starts with the day. When we lock up a day, we lock in a time. When we lock in a time, we lock in a location. And here, this is a magic trick. When she asks me about the location, I say, sweet, we'll go to Liverpool Street area. I'll confirm the exact spot tomorrow. The reason why I don't give her the spot right now and then is because I don't want to close the loop, right? If you set a date and time and location, that closes the loop of that conversation. Now you have to figure out new things to talk about, and you have to like maintain the conversation, and it's too much work. I don't have time to think about texting all these girls. I'm texting a bunch of girls at the same time. I just want to make it as simple as possible for myself. So I tell her I will confirm the spot tomorrow. I respond to one of her texts again that kind of sexualizes the conversation a little bit more, and I say, you must taste sweet, since that's what they're attracted to. Because she sent a text earlier saying about mosquitoes biting her, and I say, well, you must taste sweet because that's what they're attracted to. Now, it's kind of polarizing, sexualizing, keeping it, you know, kind of keeping the vibe up, keeping the sexualization, the polarization, the man to woman up, just before the date, right? So a few days after, I send her a message, I confirm the place, and I said, let's meet here for a drink first. How does that sound? Again, you see me saying multiple times, how does that sound? 6 p.m., how does that sound? This place, how does that sound? I'm making her invest. I'm making her want to be part of this date setup, okay? This is not just me chasing her, doing like all the work. It's like, I'm busy, I've got my things going. I'm gonna suggest a place tomorrow when I have time to look, kind of vibe, okay? This is the energy you want to project. And then obviously she says, amazing, let's meet there at 6:30, and then I say, wear something sexy so we match, okay? This is a good way of just setting the tone that, look, you're not going to be a guy that's going to be boring, that's going to give her that kind of get to know you talk for 24 hours or the whole duration of the date. You're a guy who knows what he wants. If he likes a woman, if a woman is his type and he's attracted to her, he's going to go for it, and he's not going to be around the fucking bush. Obviously, you have to do it in a smooth way, but which is obviously she can see that I'm smooth about it. Like, I'm not blatantly being fucking like harsh or like super try hard. I'm being smooth and playful with it. And I say, wear something sexy, and she says, what's the vibe though? Do I wear a summer dress? And I say, summer dress is perfect. I love summer dresses, light. You can just take them off so easily. And hey, I'm just a guy, man. I love this shit. And then she says, okay, perfect. I'm wearing a stripy dress, on my way now. And obviously we end up meeting. So how did the date go? Now let's get into the date. So now this is the big thing, guys. If you want your dates to go well, you have to have a structure. This is the structure that I follow, okay? A quick overview. I meet the girl at venue number 1, okay? Venue number 1 is basically to have a first drink, chill, relax, get in the vibe, right? Nothing crazy, no crazy conversation. I'm just here getting her used to being on a date with me, getting her used to being in my company again. This is where you are basically just getting to know each other, like chill, relax, be interesting and interested, right? Share stories about yourself, interesting stories about yourself. If you go on a date and you don't have 4 or 5 stories about yourself that you can share with people that are fun and interesting, that share something, you know, cool about yourself, you're doing something wrong. Have cool things that you've done in your life. You makes half of it up. You don't have to be, you know, fully 100% fucking, I don't know, fucking Iron Man. You don't have to be the Skool, but have interesting stories about yourself that convey the fact that you're cool, something cool that you've done, a crazy, you know, trip that you did, something that you're good at, if you're good at music, if you have a talent, something that's a little bit risque to talk about, right? That's something that you can use later on down the line in the date when things are getting a little bit hotter, right? So you have to have things ready that you can talk about, okay? And get to know the girl, because once you share stories, she will share stories back as well, right? you're kind of encouraging her to share stories about herself, and you're sharing stories about yourself. Get to know you, keep it light, keep it chill. Venue number one drink, I would say maximum. And then what I like to do, I go to a second venue, okay? And all the venues that I pick are close to where I live, okay? And ideally venue 1 and venue 2 is closer to where I live, okay? Every venue that we jump to gets me closer to where I live, right? To the location where you're pulling, where you're going home, okay? Because it's easier to get home from a place that's, 5-10 minutes away than a place that's 45 minutes away. That you have to get a taxi and a bus or whatever it is that you have to do, right? It reduces the friction. So everything that I do, every day that I go on is designed in mind for me to understand, okay, is it going to be easy to get to my place, or is it going to be easy to go to her place? Whichever is going to be easiest, I am going to set the date near that place, okay? I'm going to think of three cool bars, right, in advance. I know I'm gonna go to, I know I want to check out, I know are the right vibe, and we're going to go to those bars, right? So first drink, venue 1, keep it chill, keep it light, get to know you, get to know you, chat, be interesting, be interested. You go to venue 2. Venue 2 is when you start to kind of spice things up a little bit, okay? Create some connection, create some commonalities, right? Start to flirt, start teasing, spike her emotion a little bit. That's when you give her compliments, right? At the beginning, you can also give her a compliment about how she looks. You can say, you look well put together tonight. I really like your dress. I really like this, right? You're kind of my type. You're turning me on right now, okay? Turning me on is probably a little bit down the line, right? I would say halfway of the day to the second part of the date. But at the beginning, you need to still be man to woman. You can't, that same energy you were carrying through text, I still carry it on the date, right? I spike her emotion with some polarizing stuff, and then I just lay back and talk about flat line talk, like I call it, right? Just get to know you, building rapport, building commonalities, and then boom, I flirt with her, I tease her, I spike her emotions, and then I go back, okay? So I read her interest levels as well at the same time. I'm seeing, is she into me? Is she into it? How is her face kind of expression going? So I'm reading these things as we're jumping from venue to venue, okay? So venue 2, again, like I said, this is where we start to get a little bit more physical, start to, touch the hand, put the hand on my leg, put my hand on her leg, touch a little bit, kind of like tease her, push her away, pull her back in, caress her hair, take her hair behind the ears a little bit, push back, right? You're not fully on, but you're not fully retracted back all the way. It's on and off, right? You're playing. It's like a dance. And then obviously you spike, and then you relax, and then you can spike again, okay? And then what I do in venue 2, once you go through all these, spike, release, vibe, build rapport, break rapport, building rapport, break rapport, I start my closing sequence, okay? My closing sequence, I will touch on that, but basically, this guarantees you that you take the girl back home without things feeling weird, or without the girl, feeling like she wants to say no, okay? It actually flips the script. And then once you bounce home, the first thing you do is relax. You chill, right? You chill, you relax, you let her, because it's a new environment, you let her get accustomed to the new environment. And then you start to spike a little bit more, right? That's when you kiss, right? I do not kiss girls on a date. I do not kiss them on a date. I only kiss them when we get back to my place. Because for me, when I start to kiss a girl, it's only if there is a potential for it to go all the way. Otherwise, I'm not going to give that validation. I'm not going to give that power away, okay? I want to keep that tension as long as possible. I want her to wonder, this guy is so polarizing, but he's not kissed me yet. Why is that? Am I not good enough? That's what she thinks. But then once you're back at your place, you're in isolation where things can happen without judgment, and you kiss, it's such a big nitro boost of sexual energy that it works like a charm. And 99% of the time, she will be the one that will basically lead for things to happen, okay? So Flirting and teasing. Guys, flirting and teasing, like I said, it's in your energy. It's in the way you say things. I could say, I could say something like, I like your dress. I like your dress. I like your dress. I like your dress, right? That's weird. But I could say, I really love your dress. Different energy. Same line, different energy. Eye contact. I'm not jittery. I'm not like, different vibe. Same line. Okay? So flirting and teasing is about how you deliver. It's about feeling it inside. You have to feel it. It's as cringe as it sounds. You have to feel it. Reading her interest level, like I said, I'm always reading her interest level. Escalation, keynote, physicality, right? Like I said, you don't, the only advice that I'm going to give you here basically is do not look at what you're touching. If you're going to touch her thigh, don't look at her thigh and touch it. All right, if you're going to take her hand and put it on your thigh, don't look at her hand and put it on your thigh and look at it. Right? Look in her eye. Do this. Right? Take her hand, put it on your thigh and look at her, and just speak to her. Yeah. Okay. Nod. Yeah. Talk to her. Yeah. Laugh. Smile. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Right. Even when you go and pull her hair, her hair behind her ear, just look at her. Cool, and come back, right? Kind of thing. Right? That's number one thing that I would tell you. If there's anything about Kino, this is it, right? Sign she's invested. If she's obviously contributing to the conversation, asking you questions, touching you, letting you touch her, right? If when you pull your hand on her or you pull her hand on you, she's not, going like this, or she's not kind of like pulling back, or she's not taking your hand straight away, or like staying away from you. If she's close, if she's comfortable being close with you being close to her, she's comfortable with you being in her personal space. That's obviously a positive, okay? How the vibe change during the date. This is important. I start my dates, like I said, a little bit more casual. Like at the beginning, I would compliment them on their outfit. I'll say, you really well put together. I love this outfit. Like if I genuinely like something, I would compliment it. But I would keep it very casual, very chill in the first venue, right? I want her to get comfortable with me. I want her to get comfortable with this whole thing. And the reason for this is because I know that later on down the line, I'm going to ramp up the things. I'm going to ramp up the energy, the sexual energy, the polarization, the kino, the teasing, the flirting. I'm going to ramp it up later on down the line in the date. And women are much more, they're like frogs. You know the frog analogy? It's like if you put a frog in a cold water and you boil it up slowly, it's not going to feel anything, right? It's going to basically die in the boiling water. But if you just take it from cold water to boiling water, it will start jumping, okay? And I say this because women are like this. They're more sensible to the change in the energy, right? They're very sensible in the change in the energy. So I like to start the date kind of like normal, right? Nothing crazy about it, and then ramp it up to super nice, super cool, super, like polarizing, exciting, fun, with a lot of tension, because that change in energy, that is what women is going to feel, right? You could if you start the date super good, super like, this is fun, cracking jokes, teasing, high spike in her, blah, 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 it's so much fun, but then down the line, you don't have that ammunition to keep that energy up, then it's going to go from high energy, kind of date to kind of like low energy. And it might have not been worse. It might not be a worst date, but the women are going to sense, oh, the energy is not the same. Like, maybe we're just not made for each other, right? But when it goes from like, okay, this is just a date, to fuck, I'm actually like excited and turned on by this guy, like something, right, is much different. So the vibe, the way that the vibe changes throughout the day, the date is very important. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Start your dates, chill, get to know you, and then ramp up the energy. So the pull to my place, this is the close, okay? A lot of guys struggle with getting girls back to their place, and they think it's just, this kind of like magic thing, and it really isn't. So what I like to do during the date is I like to use some of the things that we talk about with a specific formula that I use and specific timing, okay? Now, let me explain. For example, I'm into music, okay? I make music, it's my hobby, it's my spare time thing. So every girl listens to music. So we talk about music all the time. We talk about music in the date. I see what kind of music she's into, and I share my story about me being into music. That's at some point in the get to know you phase, right, of the date. Later on down the line in the date, what I'm basically saying, it's very, very simple. It's basically saying, look, I want to suggest we do this adventure thing, or I want to invite you to do this thing, but I don't know if it's a good idea. I don't know if I can trust you yet. Sometimes I would say this halfway through the date, and then I'll be like, yeah, whatever, maybe I'll think about it. And then that plants the seed. And I'll say, do you know what? Towards the end of the date, I would say, do you know what? You know that thing that I told you I may suggest we do? Well, I think we might try to do it, but you have to promise me that you're going to behave. I want to show you my music. Maybe we can finish the bottle of wine in my romantic balcony and you can listen to my music and give me your feedback. But you have to promise me that you're not going to break something or sleep with me or try to sleep with me or trying to get in my pants. Promise, pinky promise. And then she will play along. I'm just like, this is me just by the way, just improvising. I do not have a candid line. I can create a candid line, but it's just not going to come off like this. This came very much genuinely. Like you could see I was sometimes rewording things or saying things differently, or just you could feel that I was coming up with it as I went. And that's how I do on my dates, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Because otherwise it doesn't sound genuine, right? So that's what I do. And I say, I make them pinky promise, which is kind of like a bit childish, a bit funny, a bit, whatever, quirky. And they they play with it. They're like, what do you think I am? I'm not going to break this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sleep with you, blah, blah, blah. You're going to sleep with me. It's like, whoa, chill, right? And that is just flipping the script on them. And then I don't stop after I say this. I keep talking. I was like, okay, anyways, yeah, we'll see. Once I get her agreement, I see that she's on board. If she doesn't say, oh no, I think I'm going to go home, it's on. It's on. Okay, so I keep talking, I keep having a chat, having a discussion, go back to what we were talking about. And then literally about 2-3 minutes, right? We finish our drinks, we finish whatever we're doing, and I'm like, okay, let's go, right? Let's go. Like, I already said where we're going. Let's go, right? If she says, oh, where we're going, I said, we're going to listen to music. We're going to finish the wine. Like, where do you think we're going, right? And then you just lead. You have to lead, right? You have to lead and you have to keep the momentum. Keep talking. As you're pulling, as you're going to your place, keep talking. The last thing you want is to just be quiet and let the vibe drop off. This is where you keep the vibe up. Keep it casual, keep it fun, the same way you have been talking throughout the date. All right, gents, I hope this was helpful. If you want to take your dating life to the next level, consider applying to work one-on-one with me. The first link of the description below. Otherwise, if you're looking for free information, free courses that are still valuable, still help you get better results with women today, check out my free community down below where you get access to a library of courses worth thousands and thousands of dollars, all free for you guys to help you get better with girls and get a better dating life. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Make sure to subscribe. Peace out.